my garage, fine crisp morning, trying to get my shoes on, and lo and behold I find a nice little friend here. Poor bugger, lost its leg. Beautiful. Welcome all. I guess this is part 2 of the prop shaft rebuild. So if you looked at part 1, what I've done is I've removed the original universal joints and cleaned up the components, painted them, and this is what we're left with. So now what I'm going to do is put the UJs back in. So the kit comes with obviously new circlips, although these are the newer style ones, and I'll be doing it for both, obviously for both ends. And the first thing I need to do really is obviously separate the two components and also remove the grease nipple from there. And then what I'll do is I'll go through the process of putting this into the yokes using the vise. So let's get started. Out of place, so I'm just going to put that aside. So I'm just going to take 2 of these off, being very careful. Slide that in, and once I've got that in that position, I'm going to grab one and just very carefully locate it so that it's not going to pop out any of the rollers. Right, so keeping the pressure on, this is where we use the vise. So the other thing I'm going to do too is, as it's squeezing that in, I'm going to try to keep it as centered as possible. So I'll just support it a bit more, and you can see how on that corner there, hopefully you can see that, it's starting to come in and press in towards the universal. Now it can be a fair bit of pressure on there. Alright, so I've reached a point where it's now completely flush with the yoke. You can see there. So now what I'm going to do is find a socket that'll sit right on the edge of the cap, but not interfering with the yoke, so I can press it in home till it reaches the circlip area. Okay, so like before, this is a 3/4, where are you? 3/4, and it fits beautifully right on the edge there, and testing it, it also clears the yoke. So the idea now would be to position that with that, and hopefully get rid of that, because I think I've just run out of room. Here we go, perfect. Right, so now what I aim to do is, again, position it right, and of course it's all about patience. You can almost see I'm just about a mil out. Let's give that a try. And there you go. I'm going to try to put the circlip in there now, because when I press it from the other side, ideally I don't want it being pushed out. Right, well, with that one in place, secured, I'll grab the other side and again gently position that as to avoid getting that off square. It's a bit of a trick because you've got to try to keep the male side of the universal as straight as possible as well, or in centre. So the idea now is that we use the vice again to press that in, same principle as before. You can see it's going in. Okay, just like the other side, I've now pushed it to the point where I can see the circlip groove there. Feels okay, so that's good. Pop that in there. There we go. And she's landed quite nicely. So the process now to fit the end yoke piece is the same. So removing the two end caps, sliding it in there, and then going through and pressing it through the vise. So what I'll do is I'll show you the end result. Just a little thing here I thought I'll mention. I found that by having it positioned this way, it's a lot easier. So, you know, you can control it a bit better and so on, rather than facing upside down or any other position. So, this is an example of one that I haven't actually pushed far enough in, and you can see the circlip isn't actually sitting in its groove. So I've got to pull that circlip out and give it a bit more of a push in. Just something to be aware of. So they're all in now, which is great. And now what I'll do is I'll put the grease nipple back. So in terms of how it should feel, there shouldn't be any tightness or, you know, that kind of resistance where you feel like something's grinding. It should be nice and smooth all the way through. So the next thing to do is now the back of the prop shaft itself, and again same technique as before. Right, so both universals are on now. Next thing to do is to put the boot in before I join the two ends together. So it's just a matter of, and here I've actually made my own crudely made washer, which actually fits very, very nice and snug against the shaft there. Will add or help with you know, keeping water and dirt and all that kind of stuff out. So effectively we need to slide that in. Actually, before we do that, obviously we've got to put that in there. So we slide that in. Alright. So now, to give it a good lubrication on the splines, just going to put some excess right in there. I've got that collar on, and now we're nice, smooth, beautiful, and it's all aligned. Just checking that one more time. Perfect. Right. Now before I put the boot on and close everything off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now grease the entire lot. Right, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to now move that back to its posi. And there. So what I'll do with the boot fully extended out, I'll make sure that that's extended out. And then I'll also put these two at 180 degree, so that way it kind of balances off a little bit, but I'll show you that more in a moment. Well, that's it for that. Just to mention one more thing, as I said beforehand, I did put these on 180 degrees opposite to each other, just to kind of help with the balance of the prop shaft. But yeah, very happy with that. Grease is working and doing its magic, and super pleased that both of these prop shafts were able to be salvaged. Alright, well, I'll leave it at that for the prop shaft rebuild. I hope you got something out of it. If you've got any ideas or anything that you think may be beneficial to others who read the comments, by all means put that in there. And until next time, thanks very much for watching.